and we stand in the gap between you and the medical professional. And so we're not there to check you, to say, hey, the baby's coming out and help, but we're there to say, hey, mom, how are you feeling? Breathe this way. The term they just used means this. What they're saying is this. And then on the medical end, they may say, well, this is what we want to do. And mom is saying no. And I'm saying to them, well, mom's preference is this. Are there any other alternatives? How can we both satisfy both needs at this time? So we're true advocates in the sense, and ensuring that, especially here in Southwest Georgia, where there's a lot of disparity in maternal health.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Wellness Debrief. My name is Brittany. I'm your host, and today I'm joined by my lovely subject matter expert, Alicia. Hi,
Hello.
Alicia.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I got connected with Alicia through Dear Black Women Media, and we bonded over healthcare, and I really wanted to get her insight as a doula. As I'm getting my fitness specialist for pre and postnatal, having a subject matter expert in that field is really important, especially for women's wellness journeys. We're going to get started with who is Alicia.
Alicia is a servant leader. I have surrendered to God. I am a wife of almost 19 years now. Woo! It's a long time. I am a mother of 4, of which I was told I could not have. We'll get into that. And I am a citizen of Southwest Georgia now.
Yes, a citizen of Southwest Georgia.
There's a whole lot more. I am a doula. I'm certified as a birth doula. I'm also the founder and executive director for I See My Baby here in Southwest Georgia.
Hey, she's a jack of all trades. She's multifaceted.
But I'm mastering this, though. I'm mastering this.
Exactly. We're mastering this, though, and this is what we're mastering today in this episode. So, and you talked about being a doula. So what sparked your passion for doula work and how you understand women's health evolving you since you began your journey as a doula?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, as I began, I said I was a mom of 4, of which I was told I couldn't have. And so my husband and I, we were married. I was married at 21. We were married almost 10 years and no child. And the desire of my heart was to have kids. And my husband was like, I don't really want no kids, so that's fine. But because he's such a loving husband, he went along with me. And we ended up venturing into in vitro. We went through 3 rounds. 2 were successful, but the baby did not stay. Then the third time, it just did not take. And so in that, I felt broken. My mental, my physical, my spiritual was just broken. And I felt like I was by myself, even though I had my family around me, my husband. I just felt like no one really understood what it meant to not be able to do the one thing you're created to do. And so in that, fast forward, we considered adoption and things of that sort. My husband's like, nope, because that's not a good fit for us. So I went back to the doctor and I was like, well, what else can we do? Because I know the desire of my heart. I want to carry a child in my womb. He sent me to a specialist, which because the opening of my lining was so tiny, it was smaller than the tip of a pen when he went in for the last in vitro procedure. So I went to that doctor. She just opened my lining up some. And I was like, well, what's next? And she was like, there's nothing else for me to do unless you're going to go back through IVF. So needless to say, we didn't do it. But my husband had a vision because at the time I was still angry and mad with God. And I'm very frank with that. You know, your walk is your walk. And so he had to intercede and speak to my husband and say, hey, we were living in Baltimore, moved to Maryland with your family because you're going to have a baby. And when he said that to me, I was like, well, if God said it to you, I guess it's true because he's not talking to me, you know. He's not my friend right now. We did that. Lo and behold, we stopped trying. And I kept up with my doctor's appointments. And so my OB said they found something on my uterus. They wanted to do a procedure. I was like, fine. They said, well, come in, do a pregnancy test. So that way you can have your preliminary done before the procedure. I'm like, that's fine. I'm not able to get pregnant. So I took the test. They called me the day after to get everything going. And they were like, well, Miss Hurtt, we aren't able to do the procedure. And I was like, why? And they was like, you're pregnant. I was like, say what? And they was like, you're pregnant. And so like literally that's how my journey started. And even throughout my pregnancy, you know, you read stuff on YouTube and, you know, you're just trying to figure out things. You go to Lamar's class and all that. But I still had that feeling of being by myself. So fast forward, now I have the 4 kids. I ended up having a miscarriage before my 4th, but I just was driven to advocacy. Like I said, I'm a servant leader. So in every endeavor, in every entrepreneurial endeavor, I serve. And so that is how I became a doula. I was like, I'm telling my story. I'm helping other women. And this is a way that I can be a value add and say, sis, you have someone that's truly by your side that can help you navigate this process.
I love a testimonial.
Yes.
And you, it sounds like you went through the hills and valleys to get to this point, honestly. And that is, I commend you, honestly.
Thank
as someone
you.
who's planning on going on their own journey of motherhood this year, it is inspiring to hear your story, that keep pushing through and the Lord will open the door. It may not be the door you're expecting it to be, but it may be the window over here instead.
Amen. And what I teach here at I See My Baby is the 3 words, which is manifesting it, envisioning it, and believing it. And that is really broken down into my book, but it's basically saying I'm calling my baby to my womb. I am envisioning my baby. I am manifesting my baby. And I'm believing that God is going to intercede and give me the desires of my heart. And it's powerful.
I think words have a lot of power, and I think people don't realize it. And you said it, I'm not getting along with the Lord right now. Him and I are not on the best terms. But then it's like when you have that shift, that mind shift, like, okay, let's change the perspective of it. It's just when the floodgates came in, you're like, oh my goodness.
Absolutely. The floodgates for real. And
exactly.
I literally asked for 4. And that's the other part.
You did?
I put in my book, like I was writing in church what I wanted and being descriptive detail. He's talking about the prayer of the righteous availeth much. I'm just writing, girl. And my husband's like, yeah, you wrote that down. I never got it. And I wanted 4. I got 4. Yes.
Well, from your lips to God's ears into evolving role as a doula in modern healthcare. I've worked in the healthcare field with women, and doulas weren't really a big thing, but doulas have now been more prevalent in healthcare with pregnancy. So, from your perspective as a doula, how do you work alongside medical professionals to provide a comprehensive care for the patient?
Absolutely. So what we say is that we are a part of the support system. So you may have your spouse, you may have your mom, your sibling, your friend. We're that next person, or if you don't have them, we're your person. And we stand in the gap between you and the medical professional. And so we're not there to check you, to say, hey, the baby's coming out and help, but we're there to say, hey, mom, how are you feeling? Breathe this way. The term they just used means this. What they're saying is this. And then on the medical end, they may say, well, this is what we want to do. And mom is saying no. And I'm saying to them, well, mom's preference is this. Are there any other alternatives? How can we both satisfy both needs at this time? So we're true advocates in the sense, and ensuring that, especially here in Southwest Georgia, where there's a lot of disparity in maternal health, building that trust with both parties, saying, hey, we are both here for the same reason, to have a healthy baby and healthy mom at the end of this labor and delivery process.
And that's especially here in the United States, especially with Black women, that's really integral. Because I went to school in Tallahassee, so I know exactly the area that you're at. So yes, the doula services, as I'm learning more, is really integral to that bridge of communication between the provider who has their sense of what medically needs to be done, and the mom and her family was like, no, this is my expectation, this is what I want.
Yes.
But that's a really integral service. But from that, And we talked about language. From your perspective, how does language and communication in a medical setting impact a woman's birth experience? And are we doing enough to ensure mothers feel heard and respected in those spaces?
Well, I can say this. Here in Georgia, we have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the U.S. We've had 24.5 deaths per 100,000 live births. So there's opportunity there. So that's telling us there's work to be done, there's support. We need to bridge that gap. Specifically with Black women, we're 3 to 4 times more likely to die with pregnancy-related causes. And so I truly believe that the work that we're doing is essential. Let's give an example of a C-section or cesarean. You're 39% lower chance of having one with a doula. Why? Because we're there to help you with your breathing. Before we even get to the labor process, you're educated, you're informed, you feel like I am in control of this. And then during the actual labor and delivery, we're alongside you, we're massaging you, we're setting the atmosphere, whatever that might mean for your practices and your beliefs, right? Then we're also alongside the doctor saying, hey, doc, if it is okay, instead of my patient or client being on their back, maybe we try another position. Maybe we roll on this side. Hey, we might even bring the ball with us there. Maybe could you pull out that mirror? Maybe her anxiety will decrease and her blood pressure will decrease when she sees that she's actually advancing. Pull out that mirror, just pulling out some tricks and to really ease the tension in the atmosphere. And I always tell my clients that, remember, you're not the only patient in that hospital or that birthing center. And so at the end of the day, it's like a number, it's pecking order. However, you have me. I am dedicated to you. And to me, that relieves a lot of the stress and anxiety. Also, having a doula, studies have shown that it lowers the risk of preterm birth by 22%. So these are real life numbers showing how we definitely can make an impact and change the trajectory of the maternal mortality rate.
I didn't think of it. And because working as you go to the hospital and you're like, the doctor knows what they're doing. But sometimes it's kind of like, your body and yourself. And it's kind of like, well, I'm going to put my trust into the system because the system has said to trust it. But sometimes the system doesn't always have your best interest at heart. And you do need an advocate in there to no, I get why you're trying to do this, but it's not going to work for this patient. Right. We need to maybe think of a different way to help this patient.
Or give her a little more time. One example would be my sister when she was having her second baby. They were like, oh, we've been doing this for a long time. We about to do a C-section. And my mom was like, no. And so we had a great nurse. And she literally said, baby girl, we're not doing a C-section. I need you to get up. I need you to muster up the strength. She helped to kind of stretch around the area a little bit. And my sister was a little uncomfortable. But literally when she left that room, it started to kick into gear and she was able to push that baby out. And so what if we would have just said, okay, doc, we'll just do a C-section. She would have had a C-section that she truly did not need, but she needed someone to encourage her. She had my mom as support. And then that nurse, she truly stepped in the place of a doula, literally at that time saying, you can do this, push through it, things of that sort. So we're needed.
we are definitely, especially in the healthcare system as Black women, honestly. Now, my experience working in hospitals and from your experience, some hospitals have strict policies, and we talked about it, that limits a woman's choice during labor. This is controversial. Are these policies truly in the best interest of the mother and baby, or are they designed for the convenience of the hospital?
So, I would say both. It really and truly depends on where you are, who you are, unfortunately, and then what time of day it is. If we have 20 women in labor and we're like, listen, if one more comes in, we don't know where we're going to put her. Like that would change the decision making as well, right? And then have we met our quota? I mean, they make income as well too. So what's more, a C-section or natural birth? You do the research. I'm not going to say. So it really, really depends. I pray and I hope we've been working alongside our hospital here, developing our relationship that the best interest of the patients is the top priority and will continue to be. That is the prayer, the hope. But as the doula there, you use discernment. this work that we do is not just saying, oh, I'm going to pick this up as a trade. It is a calling. It is a ministry. It is very spiritual. And God will enlighten you like, hey, that doesn't sound right. Let's try something different. Let's push a little bit on that patient client. So yeah, that's my answer. And I'm sticking with it.
I like that answer. It's a good answer. And you've been hitting me with facts. So from evolving roles of doula in modern healthcare to the science-based doula support. From your perspective, how has the rise of technology, including virtual support and telehealth, changed the way doulas work? Do you think it enhances or takes away from the intimate nature of doula services?
It definitely enhances it, because back in the day, I've been binge watching, and shout out to Tiffany Austin, our head doula, and she's also a midwife in Tallahassee. She told me about Call the Midwives. This thing has been out for over 13 seasons, and I am just finding out about it.
What is that? Is that a show?
Yes, and the birth seems so real, like with the cord still attached and all. Like, it's really good. Only thing is, you can't, like, I can watch 5 episodes, then I have to turn it off and watch something else. But it's really, really good. My kids come in and I'm like, y'all can watch. It's natural, with my girls. So they're learning alongside me. But the nurses, the nuns, they used to go house to house. And it got exhausting. It did, even though it was personal, it's like, oh my God, this is a lot. And so now we're able to touch women everywhere, even international, right? And help them build up their skill set. Like for us, we have a hybrid program where we do the classes in person, but if you can't make it, we build it up on our YouTube. And I'm able to send it to all of my doula clients. So whether you're working at 5 o'clock or 2 in the morning, you can still get what you need, learning your breathing techniques and your skills and what's going to happen in birth, right? So I think it really enhanced the process. I do feel like we do need in person. We need to touch, feel, and feel comfortable. So at least 2 times, we need to be in person with you, especially during your doctor's appointments, because you want the doctors to feel comfortable, to let them know that you're not going to be overbearing, but you are there to support your clients.
And telehealth has opened a lot, especially during the pandemic. It opened a lot of doors for providers and participants to meet, especially in the area that you're in. I can imagine it's not easy for some participants to get to you, so it's easier through a telehealth services.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
We have patients, or I keep saying patients, clients that travel almost an hour and a half to come to doctor's appointments and things because we're a health desert. We're literally a health desert. So it really helps. I can say, hey, let's jump on a Zoom. Let's talk it through. Then I'll meet you for your next appointment here at the local OB office.
Ooh. And that, look, again, you're doing the Lord's work.
Amen. Hallelujah.
From the science behind doula support to holistic wellness. So, and we talked about it briefly, a doula's role extends beyond just physical support. There's a deep emotional and even spiritual connection involved. Is there any unseen or almost magical moments you've witnessed as a doula?
Yes, I would say a teen mom initially, the shock of being pregnant, being overwhelmed, not really being numb. So I'm like, how do you feel? Those first appointments and things, I don't know. To me, inspiring, motivating her, sending her words of comfort, saying, hey, rub your belly. You're going to start to feel this, sending her those videos to see the process. And now she runs up to me, and when she sees me in town, and it's like, oh my God, the baby's kicking, the baby's moving. You can just see the excitement on her face. And I'm like, yes, like it's not ideal. We get it. But this is God's blessing. You are able to carry a child, right? And she's embracing it, talking about her baby shower and things of that sort. And so it's a beautiful thing to see the change, and a quick change, right? Because if you don't get that mental health in check now, it may be even worse after that baby comes, when we start thinking about postpartum and hormones and all that stuff, caring for the baby.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of us thought of that. I think especially for me in the fitness field, we're so focused on getting you physically prepared, but then it's kind of like, well, there's a mental aspect, because you can be physically prepared all you want, and you can have all the lists and the things, but if you don't have that mental and emotional support there, it's kind of like all the physical stuff is just going to go flying out the window, basically. From holistic wellness to addressing challenges in women's healthcare, and we talked about it briefly. How do cultural differences shape the way women experience pregnancy and birth? And what can we learn from a global birthing traditions?
That's a loaded question. I would say it really depends on the culture, but majority of the cultures just they align the birthing process as a spiritual way of God, like naturally helping you, right? And doing, like I said before, what you were created to do. That you're just doing what you're created to do. I love it when my clients are spiritually grounded because it's a way for me to draw their faith and bring them back. So when you're going through it, and I like shout out to Beyonce when she was carrying, I forget what child, she was saying how she would talk to her baby and how she would channel the energy of her baby to bring her baby forth. And that's similar to what we do. And it never left me. And that's what helped me with my first child. And I was like, we coming, Amara, you're coming, I'm going to kiss your face, and it really helps to keep your client grounded, because as you start to get the shakes, as you start to feel like you got to let things out from every angle, when you get to the point where I just can't do it, I got to push, you ain't thinking about, well, what breathing technique is this? I know for me, one birth, my sister put a rag on my head, and I took the rag and threw it across the room. Like it was, so you just don't know. But if they're spiritually grounded, if they have a culture with them, a faith with them, you could say, hey, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. In Jesus' almighty name, push, breathe, right? You can hold on to them and start to manifest that baby coming. And you're going to hold that baby on your chest and really redirect them and get them focused. You are in control. You have this in Jesus' name, and really pull them through. I just love it.
But sometimes you need that external person just cheering you on, saying like, you got this, the Lord's got you, you got this, keep pushing, you got this. Sometimes because you don't have that belief and faith in yourself. And so it's hard, honestly. And sometimes you just need it. And that is what the doula is there for, to help push you through. Again, not just through the physical, but the mental and emotional.
Yes.
From that question to doula care has been shown to improve birth outcomes, yet it's rarely covered by insurance. Why is emotional, and again, this is controversial, why is emotional and physical support during birth not considered an essential part of healthcare?
I think because as women, we're supposed to just endure. It's like, it's just what you do. And they're not really thinking deeper. I'm happy that Georgia is one of the states that they're on board now. They're on board, and Medicaid is covering some of the costs for doula services. Florida is doing the same. And so I believe I forget what other state, was it Iowa? I don't remember. I was just reading that they're on board now. And so they're seeing it. And I believe it also is because we're speaking out more. We're not just saying we're just going to put up with it. It's fine. It's okay. No, it's not fine. It's not okay. I need the support, and it needs to be a part of my health plan. And me and you, we can go to the Capitol. We can talk to our council people as well to say, hey, we need this, because if you don't speak up, what do they always tell you? Closed mouths don't get fed.
Closed mouths don't get fed. I know that's right. The poor baby is just like, please pay attention. Like you said, closed mouths don't get fed. The baby was letting you know. Now, have you experienced home births at all whatsoever?
Not yet, but I can't wait. So here's the thing. Georgia does not permit that. And so,
really?
Just a little secret. It's not even a secret. It's a part of our plan to have a birth center, but we'll have to pivot until legislation changes here in Georgia, because you need to have a medical director in order to have a birth center. And so being in a rural town like I am in, like I talked to one company that said we want to do the same thing, and we've been waiting for a few years to find someone. And I'm like, oh man. So we're going to have to pivot because we're so close to Alabama and Florida. We're looking for property there. So that way we can have a midwife. Like I said, her name is Tiffany Austin. She's with us. She can very well just run the birth center. But here in Georgia, we need a medical director. And that's just not something that is easy. Now, if we were in Atlanta, like they have birthing centers there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they get everything. But down here in our health desert, it's not likely. I do trust in God, and I know he'll make a way, but he also gives you wisdom. And so if we want to move forward and have that service, we got to look elsewhere, right? You got to get creative. You got to think outside the box to provide that service. But once we are able to establish the birth center, oh, yes, I'm going to be right in there. I can't wait. I'm watching on social media like, oh, my God, look, and yes, get it, push, so not yet, though.
Well, I mean, because it's home birth and speaking with everyone from everywhere is very controversial. Some people feel as though that home births are amazing, and some people are just like, no, strictly the hospital, and everything can vary. Why do you think it is the one option is socially acceptable while the other one is often discouraged, possibly?
Lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. Like I said, going back to the show I've watched, the Call to Midwives, that's what they did. They didn't go to, unless there was some type of high risk or some issue. And actually the doctor would come to you and then they'll say, oh, ambulance time, come get her, but it all happened at home. I mean, you're comfortable there. That's your environment. You feel more in control. Whereas at the hospital, you're hooked up to monitors. And now so when I started having my kids, I was called geriatric. So they were watching me for everything. So I would not have been the ideal client or patient for a home birth. So it's not for everyone, but it's a lack of understanding. If you're healthy, if you're being monitored, if you're getting all your blood works and you're not having any type of ailment like gestational diabetes or any issues with your blood pressure, anything like that, and the doctor clears you, sis, try the home birth. And the other part is you want to just make sure you have a plan B. So make sure your midwife will have a transfer plan for you. So if something goes awry, they can say, hey, such and such at the hospital, my patient is on the way. This is what's going on. Have the chart in hand and get you to where you need to be.
I didn't even think of the transfer part. I think it's like kind of like, I think a lot of people think I'm going to be okay in this one location, but the transfer part, you put the knowledge into my brain. From addressing challenges to personal care as a journey, and you probably said it, what has been your most transformative experience as a doula?
I would say the breastfeeding, because it was such a challenge. Because this is all personal to me. Like everything I'm doing is because God had me go through this. And I'm like, oh, so my trial was a testimony to then help others. Gee, thanks, Lord. It wasn't just for me, it's for everybody else. So the breastfeeding aspect for me is just phenomenal as a doula. And so we recently had a patient that left the hospital not being able to successfully latch, which was similar to my story. At that first session, that baby latched and was... and continued on. And so when I see the baby, I'm like, that baby getting chunky, that baby drinking that milk. So that's one part that I love to see, because you see the baby. I helped you, not help, but I helped as far as giving you the advice of what to eat, how to nourish your body and things like that. So while the baby was in there, but now the baby out. And so we're able to see the baby getting big, making those milestones, and what you thought you could not do, you're able to do, and then right there with me in the sessions. Like, I love the lactation part.
Oh, yeah. And I remember in the hospitals, when I worked in the hospitals, it was like for the frustration for some moms of just like, I think I walked in and one mom, she was just crying because she was like, the baby's not latching, da-da-da. And the lactation consultant came in. She's like, you just had the baby like less than 12 hours ago. You need to give your body a break and breathe. The baby can feel when you're stressed, mama. Just put the baby down for a moment and just let's go take a walk. Let's just relax. I think, and you've probably seen it, women have this like the bounce back. Like, I need to bounce back. I need to get back to how I used to be. And it's kind of like you just literally had a human being just Give yourself the grace that you need.
Yes. I remember my first child. I took a shower, had my outfit on. They're like, wait a minute, what is going on? Like, I was like, get my baby, she was in the NICU, so I had to make sure I was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Get my baby. I'm pumping. Then the second one, it was like, okay. The third one, I was like, the fourth one, I ain't had no choice. I had to get back home. He was born around 4th of July. I got to get out of this hospital. I got to get home to these other kids. So you're right. As women, we do feel like we got those capes on. But I always tell my clients, you have to pace yourself. It's okay. And it's like talking to a brick wall, because I know I would have done the opposite.
I can't read that, the DW meme. I can't read that sign, and you just kind of move past it.
Yes, but I will tell you, it is critical to listen, because my 4th child, I ended up back in the hospital with post-eclampsia, almost died, didn't even know it was that serious, and was still breastfeeding, and had my phone working because my husband refused to bring my laptop. Only recently, like a year ago, I really got to reflect on it when I was going to get life insurance, another policy. And they were like, no, you're not accepted. And we did the research. They was like, because you had a kidney failure medicine. And I was like, a kidney what? And I started researching it, and I was like, yo, this was no joke. Like, I could have went away from here. I could have had a whole newborn with 4 kids, leaving my husband. Like, this is serious. Thank God I listened to my doctor when she said that headache is no joke. Go to the hospital. So you really do have to find a time to lay down and just rest and let your mind go blank. And let someone else help you and handle it. Because, like you said, you just pushed a whole human out your body.
You just literally, whether it's C-section, like you just had a human, like you spent 9 months preparing your body. I call it, with my fitness specialist, the Olympics. This is your Olympics. Yes. You're preparing your body for the Olympics, and even athletes need to recover and rest their bodies for them to be the athletes that they are. Yes. And again, as Black women, we just like, nah, it's not going to be done the right way if I don't do it. But sometimes you just have to let go and let God sometimes. And it's really difficult sometimes to let go and let God, honestly. Look, my husband, when my husband and I started dating, he's just like, you can sit down. Like, no, why are you telling me, trying to make me sit down and do all these things? I don't understand why. But now, as time has gone on, I'm like, okay, I see why he's making me sit down to relax.
It's so true. And it took me, after my second child, postpartum, started to kick my tail. Postpartum depression, and I didn't know what it was. I was like, she don't like me, she keep crying, and what did I do? And so my third child, I started to speak up more, because I was like, this is not me. Like, what is the problem? I would go from 0 to 1,000. I was like, I thought I passed that stage of my life. What is it? So you really have to listen to your body. You have to communicate if something feels off, even if you are extremely fatigued more than normal. Like, you have to communicate with your support system, with your doula. Even if you just did birth doula, reach out and say, hey, this is what's going on. What are your thoughts? Because postpartum depression can take you out of here, meaning you could lose your mind, lose your life, think to do things. I remember, I love my children, never would harm them. But in that time of distress, going through postpartum, there are some thoughts that will go through your mind, and you'll be like, whoa, where did it come from? And you can rebuke it in the name of Jesus all you want, but it is postpartum depression, and you have to deal with it. You can pray. I always say you can pray, you have your faith, but you also need therapy as well. And that can be just in the form of communicating, or maybe some prescription. It really depends on where you are, what you need. And remember, there are no judgment. Everybody's walk is different.
And I think a lot of people need to hear that sometimes. I think sometimes we walk through the journey alone thinking that we're in this by ourselves, but having that community is really important. Which leads us to the next question. So much emphasis is placed on the newborn after birth, and you and I have seen it. But what about the mother? In what ways do we fail to recognize and honor the transformation that mothers go through during this process?
All the time. It's like, give my baby, you be fine. You'll be fine. But that's why you need a postpartum doula. That's why you need to educate your support person. That is the reason why, as an organization, this year we rolled out the men's support program, because we're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, so we're supporting the women. We're getting them through this, but then the men are alongside them like, yep, so I'm a new father. Yep, so I got to deal with all this mental health stuff. She's yelling at me. She's crying. What do I do, right? How do I hold this baby? How do I show up now for a baby, right? How do I go to work and come home expecting dinner in a house that's clean, and I'm getting the opposite? How am I going to exist and figure this out? And so we are educating them, giving them the tools to say, bro, you got this. Sound like my kids, bro. You got this. You can handle it. Let us give you the tools to support the mom. And so in supporting them, giving them the tools, mom is recognized more, appreciated more. They actually see what it entails to go through a C-section, to push a baby out, what the body's going through, how like your body and your organs had to shift. And now everything is trying to come right back in line. Like she ain't gonna snatch back like you see the celebrities, right? Give her some time and still tell her she's beautiful, because you are. Like, we need that.
No, you're not wrong. I've been taking some courses through Postpartum Support International, and they have a study specifically for men. And they're like, if the woman has postpartum, it increases in the men 50% for them to experience and get postpartum depression themselves. And like a lot of people kind of look like, why do men get postpartum depression? That's dumb. I was just like, well, they're also impacted. Like, yes, their life is also changed. Their partner is not the same person prior to them having their partner is probably going to be in a different mindset. And then there's more responsibility that they probably weren't expecting that's going to fall on them. They're like, oh, I wasn't, and I've heard it in the hospital, like, oh, I wasn't expecting all the responsibility to fall back on me. Yes. And you're just like, yeah, yeah, the person that just had your baby is literally incapacitated for a little bit. Like, you gotta, and I think for a lot of men, they're just like, I don't know what that step is. And especially in the culture and society we live in, men aren't allowed to have that space to be vulnerable and acknowledge, I'm really scared and I don't know how to help my partner and I need help. And I think if that education was given to the partner, it would make the process a lot easier for baby and mom, honestly.
Absolutely.
For my entire family.
Yes. My first baby, like I said, we had issues latching. So I had a lactation person come to the house. Didn't even know that was a thing until I really pushed. They came to the house. We did sessions. Even with the sessions, I still didn't successfully latch because I'm introverted. And so it takes a little more effort. And my friend came over, shout out to Stephanie Harris. She helped me a little bit, gave me some tricks. She was like, give me some milk. And she poured it on me. And she was like, now the baby going to get a little bit of it and get that baby on there. And I just continued to practice. It took me 3 months. And it took my mom every day, may her soul rest in peace, every day when I came home from work, are you full? Put the baby on. And one day she latched. I'm getting emotional. Oh, Lord, let me get it together. She's 10 now. But she latched and I was like, she's drinking milk. And so it was on then, right? And it took my second child. I told you I was having baby blues. And my husband would say, are you full? She never wanted to latch. She still didn't latch, even with the work and the effort. But I appreciated him because he would make me put her on a little bit, put her on. She don't want it. She don't. And he just continued. Then number 3 came. She was fine. It was like, come on. And she was like, this ain't enough. I need more. So I needed that support around me. I needed my cheerleader saying, you got this, you can do it. And it came in different shapes and forms. And thank God for my husband. He didn't get any education, but God gave him some wisdom. I see that she really wants to do this. It is a benefit. I've seen it with my other children. Let's encourage her. Let's push her. What's in there? How much water you drink? And he's a trip. And so it was like, all right, let me get this milk. And then it was expensive too. So get that milk.
It's like get all the milk. But you mentioned there are different types of doulas beyond birth doulas. There are postpartum doulas, even fertility doulas. Can you share any knowledge you may have of additional roles that doulas play?
Absolutely. So it depends on what you need. And so when we do our consultation, we ask you, what are your heart's desire? What is the perfect birth journey for you? Some women may say, I don't really want you in the birthing room with me, but after I get home, I need you. That makes a difference. So there's a birth doula. There's a postpartum doula. They have a doula called a full spectrum doula, meaning she will cover your whole process from beginning to after that baby is here. Or if you do postpartum, you can just have that person as you need them at home, meaning they can wash clothes for you, wash dishes, take care of the baby. If you have a culture preference of wrapping your belly, they can help you with that. If you just need someone to sit with you during the day and maybe teach you how to, to help you with all of those things. If your outcome is not the desired one where your baby is not here anymore, they do have a doula that helps you with your loss as well. They also have abortion doulas, meaning they specialize in women that have gone through abortions and need to still go through the full process because, of course, you still have your milk supply coming, you're still feeling those hormones, they're leaving your body, and then you need support because you're not physically going home with a baby. So, yep, they have those doulas as well for you. And again, like you said earlier, how we have virtual services, there are virtual doulas that are there with you, give you the tips, give you what you need virtually instead of in person. There are a whole other slew of names, but those are the basic core doulas. And a birth doula can help with a natural birth or a C-section. There are doulas that just specialize in C-sections and doulas that just specialize in natural birth. So it just really depends on what your need is.
I only knew of birth doulas, and I heard a little bit of postpartum, but there's an array of services that are offered for doulas, which is fabulous because sometimes you just need somebody. You just need somebody to talk to.
Yes, and that understands. And you're feeling like, well, no, I'm embarrassed. And she's like, girl, please, that's part of the process. You're like, oh, for real? I know
that. Sometimes you just need that encouragement, honestly. And so from the personal journey of support to practical wisdom and empowerment, what are some practical self-care strategies that all women should know from your perspective as a doula?
Definitely after your 6 weeks when you are given the green light to live life again. So go back to normal and you stop bleeding, having a yoni steam. That is vital to helping you with your snatch back, to helping you balance your hormones, tightening up your uterus as well, and just getting everything back in alignment. It's spiritual and it's physical attributes to doing the yoni steam, and that's one I tell everybody. 6 weeks postpartum, that doctor give you your green light. Come on and see me so you can steam. Also, resting, staying hydrated. Like when you want to lose weight, what they tell you, eat right. It's the same thing. Like you have to. You got to go back to the basics and really to build yourself back up and pace yourself. I remember all my babies I was working, except for the last one, thank God. Not really thank God, but I wasn't working as much because I was helping my mom. She was going through her cancer journey. But needless to say, all the other kids, I had to go back to work. Some may have been 6 months, or when I was working for the school system, it was like 3 months. When I got back to work, I was like, I got to get back into the hustle and bustle. Of course, I'm breastfeeding, so I had to get on the schedule for my pumping. It was a lot. It was intense, and I felt like I just didn't have the stamina. It's going to take time. You can't compete. You can't go back to what it was. Just, it is okay. And your employer, there are laws and policies in place where they cannot discriminate against you. And they will not. Majority of them, they will have a space. They have to have a space for you to breastfeed. They have to know, hey, this is your schedule. Of course, you still keep up your workload, but it's going to take some time. The other part is do not sacrifice your baby, meaning your pumping schedule for the sake of your work. Work is going to get done, but the baby still needs to be fed. And then also be okay with raising your hand and say, I'm not okay, or I need some additional support, because you may have in your mind what they're going to say. They're going to fire me. They're going to feel like this. And majority of the employers will be the total opposite. They may even say, hey, take a little bit more time, or if there's flexibility in having a hybrid schedule, being flexible. I've had phenomenal employers that supported me in that. And I feel like I was the one giving myself more pressure than they actually were, because I wanted to get back into it quickly.
Yeah. And again, I think all of us have been through it where you're just like, they're not gonna like me. And then they're like, no, I'm glad you told us so we can help you, because we want you to stay. We want you to stay employed. We just want to know what's going on. And it's very hard because, again, we internalize a lot of things as women, especially as Black women, of just like, no one's going to understand, so I'm just going to carry it on my back, not realizing it's literally breaking your back.
Yes.
And I can imagine, I'm not there yet, but as a mom, you're just like, I think of the baby, the breastfeeding, all of these things. My house, is it clean? Did my husband get to this? Did this happen? Did the bill get paid? You're just like, the mental load that is. And I can see why within the year, because they did a study, like the year post is basically when a lot of the maternal morbidity happens. It's like a year after, because so much stress on the body, honestly. So those self-care tips, back to basics, are really important. Some cultures treat pregnancy and childbirth as sacred rites of passage, while others see it as purely as a medical event. How do these differing perspectives impact the way women experience birth?
It depends on you, because I am the type of individual, I don't care what you say. And it took me 41 years to say that, right? But I'm going to feel how I want to feel. I know it's a blessing. That's like me always talking about my kids at work and stuff. I'm like, I don't care if you don't care. It's a blessing. Like, let me tell you, I'm told I couldn't
the journey you went through, you look, with a megaphone on the top of a mountain, like, this is what happened.
That's me all the time. They like, I know, 4 kids, couldn't have it. Like, I'm telling everybody, God save me. You hear me? And I feel the same way about the topic that you asked. It really depends on the individual. If you're one that just is like, oh, this is what they say and this is how it is, and that's how I'm going to, hey, no judgment. I'm just telling you for Alicia Hurtt and any client that I see. And if I feel like, oh, it's just something to do, no, I'm going to build you up, because we're about women empowerment. It's not just a medical thing. Girl, let me tell you, let me go on back in ancient times. And you be like, oh, Lord, I ain't come for a history lesson. Well, you going to get it, because I need you to understand what you're doing is significant. Okay?
It is significant, honestly. And I think for some people, it is depending. As I'm going and I'm doing my research, I'm taking it more as a spiritual, like, this is a changing process, where I've heard people communicate in a more medical sense. I'm like, well, that seems very impersonal. You're going through all these changes and you're bringing this brand new person into your family. It is a village spiritual experience. So I like it. It's like, it depends on what you want. You don't have to put it in a box, which I think I've seen a lot of, like, well, you need to do it this way or that way. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's really drastic just to put it in a box and just be so finalized.
Yeah.
Where birth is not a finalized thing. Things could change at the drop of a dime, honestly.
Every baby is different.
Every baby is different.
It's so funny because people would say, well, how was your labor? And I'm like, man, that don't stand true. But as my kids are growing, I'm like, yeah, that kind of stands true. Aubrey kept playing that cat and mouse, and she didn't want to really come out, and she was in there chilling, like, and now she's just like, Mom, and I'm like, oh God, they were right. And she, like, literally, the nurse was like, hold her in. I'm like, I don't know how. And the doctor had to run and catch my baby before my baby fell. And she's that way today, independent. I got to do it. It got to get done. I'm like, whew.
I will say this, and my sister will probably, like, roll her eyes at me like, whatever. When my mom delivered my younger sister, the doctors, they delivered her, and the doctor was like, is she fighting? Is she fighting? She's physically trying to fight the doctors. She's physically, and to this day, my sister is very much a person of, like, will confront you of, like, what's the problem? Right. I don't understand why you're so upset. And we're like, Caroline, you can't just get in people's face like that. She's like, why? They have an issue. Right. They have an issue with me. I'm trying to figure out what their problem is. I'm just like, oh, God.
She told y'all when she was born, I'm here. Get off me. Let's go.
Oh no, it was a different, my parents, it was a different experience where I was the very calm, very woo child. My sister was just, like, very much talking back, like, you ain't finna talk to me that way. I know. Just, so I think that probably impacts how people experience it. But Ms. Alicia, we're on to our last question.
Okay, let's go.
What is your ultimate hope for the future of women's healthcare?
I pray that all women, ALL, feel that they have an advocate and that they are supported during their journey, that what they say carries weight and substance, right? And I'm not making up this headache or this pain. I pray that as an organization, we're able to be in all of the states and international and have a safe haven for women so that when you're thinking of being pregnant or you're going through infertility, you're like, yep, I'm calling, I see my baby. So that is my prayer and my hope, and that we also can have a great relationship with all of the hospitals and facilities, and that they don't feel like we're a threat, that we're a value add to the team to make the birthing experience phenomenal.
I love it. I love it. I think that's important, and that's why I'm so passionate, especially about women in healthcare, is women having a voice. And sometimes, as someone whose job is basically to do medical records and compliance, sometimes I hear the feedback, and a lot of times it's women that like, I don't feel as though I was heard. I
Right.
don't feel as though that I was seen. I don't feel as though do. And what you said, it hit something for me. It hit deep for me.
Amen.
Miss Alicia, where can, if people are interested in your services or interested in getting to know more information about you, where, well, I'm going to list it in the description below, where can the people find you?
Absolutely. Our website, iseemybaby.org. Spell it all out, iseemybaby.org. If you forget and put .com or .co, you're going to reach us anyway. We're on all social media platforms. We TikTok, we do IG, or you can just Google us. You can Google me as well, Alicia Hurtt. Alicia Hurtt. We are located at 310 South Scott Street in Bainbridge, Georgia. We are here serving. And hey, you have no excuse. You want to reach me? I'm everywhere. So just pull me up.
Pull up. Well, Miss Alicia, I appreciate you and your subject matter expert skill set. And thank you. You even enlightened me as someone who's about to go on her journey into motherhood this year. This actually was a really integral conversation for me. And I'm excited to share your knowledge with the people out into the interwebs.
Thank you for having me, and much blessings and success on your journey.
Thank you.